Hello, everybody, and welcome to San Francisco Zine Fest 2021 Cyberfest Rebooted. This is the show and tell for Group G. My name is Lauren Davis, and I'm going to be hosting this morning. Just to give you a sense of what's going to be happening, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to San Francisco Zine Fest and Cyberfest. I'm going to go over some house rules and expectations. And the artists are then going to present their work. And after that, going to have like a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit of closing up, but most of the focus of this is of course going to be the artists sharing their work. So San Francisco Zine Fest, a little background. Founded in 2001 as a gathering place for writers and artists from around the world, but especially the Bay Area. It's typically held as a one-day event at the County Fair Building in Golden Gate Park. And our 2019 festival had about 240 exhibitors and over 5,000 attendees. Of course, last year due to COVID-19, our 2020 festival had to go online. It spanned 3 weeks and encompassed over 21 days of zine-related activities, and it was 100% virtual. Zine Fest 2021 is a 9-day event. Mostly virtual with some in-person elements. Going to have some workshops and collaboration with local Bay Area bookstores, which I'll be talking about a little bit more as we get further in. So what is Cyberfest Rebooted? Last year, we called our festival Cyberfest. This year, we're calling it Cyberfest Rebooted. It's been running from August 28th and will be running through tomorrow, September 5th. We're having these exhibitor show and tells. We've been having readings, workshops, demos, interviews, all sorts of things. And the difference between this year and last year is that this year we're having the zines sold at participating bookstores. Our invited guest of honor this year is Tiny Splendor. There's going to be a big Q&A with Tiny Splendor later today, so be sure that you don't miss out on that. Also, Tiny Splendor invited 3 guests, Ocean Escalante, Samantha Espinoza, and Tomiko Sidori. They were part of our Thinking Captions reading, and if you missed out on that, don't worry about it. It's all up on YouTube and Facebook Live, and they've been recorded, so be sure to check those out. You can also see this is our 20th anniversary San Francisco Zine Fest poster, which was designed by Sana Khan of Tiny Splendor and printed at Tiny Splendor. I want to let everybody know about our Safer Spaces policy. We are committed to providing a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of gender, gender identity expression, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, or religion. We will not tolerate harassment at SFZF events in any form. Individuals violating the Safer Spaces policy may be sanctioned or expelled from the space or the event at the discretion of any SF Zine Fest organizer. We ask that you respect people's opinions, beliefs, differing states of being, and differing points of view. Always get explicit verbal consent before taking someone's photo or crossing other personal boundaries. Text consent also works in this case. Be responsible for your actions and aware that they may have an effect on others regardless of your original intent. And please remember that a safe and respectful community is everyone's responsibility. Guidelines for Zoom. So not everybody watching this is in the Zoom webinar, but for those of you who are in the Zoom webinar, please keep your video off unless you are presenting. This helps prevent lagging, and it just makes things so much easier for the live stream. Please keep yourself on mute unless you're presenting. For presenters, there is a chat available to you. If you have a question or you want to hype each other up, feel free to talk to each other in the chat. And also we have volunteers in the chat who can help you out with any questions or issues that you're having. Chat is only available for panelists. If you're an attendee for the webinar, you can ask questions using the Q&A feature. If you're watching this on YouTube Live or Facebook Live, feel free to ask questions in the live chat, and those will get back to us here in the webinar. ASL interpretation today is being provided by Nicole Watson and Kevin Abrams, who have just been so wonderful this week with so many events. I am always impressed by their interpretation. Please be mindful for folks who are blind or visually impaired by being specific and descriptive when sharing your work. Holding stuff up to the camera is great, but also please be mindful that not everybody can see your work very well, and please describe what it is that you're actually showing to us. As I said, the Zoom webinar is being recorded and broadcast to Facebook and YouTube, going out live, and it'll be recorded there so that people can watch later. And of course, above all, please be respectful. Those of you who are presenting, what should you say while you're presenting? Please tell us your name and your pronouns. Let us know if you're based in the Bay Area. Where are you now? Where are you calling in from? Tell us a little bit about yourself and show us your work. Read something from your zines, comics. It is your time to tell us all about yourselves. So this is going to be the presenting order. I know that people get really nervous during these sessions, so I'm just going to ask that everybody sit for a second, take a deep breath in, and a long breath out. Another breath in, and a big breath out. And one more. Deep breath in, and long breath out. Thank you to Anand for suggesting that, our fearless leader who has been leading a lot of these show and tells and has been just helping us shake out the nerves. So our first presenter is going to be Canto Cutie. Catherine Lynn, she, her, is an artist, public school art teacher, and community organizer. She is currently living in the San Francisco Bay Area, although her roots are all over the American Southwest. Her mother's family is part of the post-war wave of Chinese grocery store owners that catered primarily to Hispanic neighborhoods in Tucson, Arizona. Her father is an inventor and engineer of Cantonese and Teochew descent, who immigrated to the US as an international student in the early 80s. Catherine spent her formative years in an insular, Southern evangelical, multilingual Asian American community in Austin, Texas. Welcome, Catherine.
Hello, can you all hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm really excited to be here. This is our second San Francisco Zine Fest. We actually launched our first one last year, and so we're really excited to be back. Canto Cutie is a zine about the Cantonese diaspora, and it was birthed while I was living in the Bay Area in San Jose. Growing up in Texas and Arizona, I spent a lot of time explaining to my friends, to my teachers, to people in my community, what it was, what I am, and what my identity was. Explaining that Cantonese is a linguistic minority of China. Like I spent a lot of time explaining I'm Chinese, but not that kind of Chinese, and explaining that my parents are from Hong Kong. You know, when I see my family, I go there, not China. And so a lot of people outside of China, but also within China, see it as a monolith that China contains only Chinese people. And in fact, there's many languages and many different identities in there. So some identities are even being actively wiped out. Some are giving up their identity for a more comfortable one, easier, and a one that's easier to explain. And so I created Canto Cutie as a zine that I wish I had as a kid, a zine where I didn't need to explain what Cantonese was, and where people like me, we could just tell our own identity and explain it for like it is, tell it for ourselves. And so that's why I started Canto Cutie. Last year, we came out with volume 1. The cover is by queer Austin area based artist Z Cam. And since then, we've had 2 other issues. This is volume 2. The cover is created by a printmaker based in Hong Kong. And we just released this summer volume 3. The cover contains a very famous symbol in Hong Kong, Guan Yin, a god, and it's created by Addie Hu, another artist of the diaspora. And so in creating these zines, in the first one, I was the one, searching all over Instagram looking for artists, begging people to let me publish their art, begging them to let me interview them. But then as we grew and grew, more people found affinity with our zine. Now we have a translator who translates everything from English to Chinese so that we really can have we can support the international audience that we want to serve. And we've had artists and writers from all over the world. We now have a jury process, and it's morphed into this awesome art and literature zine with interviews that I'm so happy to read from today. It's totally free to read online. You can buy copies on my website, cantocutie.com. Our 3 issues are fully colored. Every issue is over 100 pages, and they all feature over 10 artists. So I know as an Asian American, I'm not the only type of identity in the diaspora. There's Cantonese people all over the world. I might explain Hong Kong as the home of my parents or our ancestral homeland, but in reality, our diaspora is everywhere. Home is everywhere. I am going to do a short reading from volume 2. The poem I've selected to read is by an artist and a poet named Karen Lynn. Karen is a writer in Australia, and I'll read a little of her bio, and I will read a quick poem from her. Karen is a writer and poet. She regretfully only writes in the colonizer's language, but may one day be able to wield her mother tongue with more ease. Her works mainly involve Hong Kong, women of color, her lived experience in straddling both identities. In her spare time, she writes, scrapbooks, and waxes poetic about being an Aries. She's published in Zanny, Doof magazine, and now Canto Cutie. And this poem is called Day Go By. It's part of Reorient, a series of poems about reacquainting with the city and self. Petty rush yesterday when I sampled wistful bygones, a little too excited for noodles wilting in polystyrene. Yes, please, table for 2. I am keening for this lovely mirage of normality. My tenderness is a flesh wound. The city opens its legs. When there is an opening, we take it. Whomst has enough of unprecedented times. Thundering past, central, a collective sigh. We are moored, we are moored. That is one of the poems by Karen, and you can find many of her poems in volume 2 of Canto Cutie, and you can, of course, read it online for free. Thank you so much for having me. Please follow me on Instagram. I love following and interacting with Zinesters and growing growing this awesome, happy family and this collective where we can keep making stuff and supporting each other. Really excited to be here. I can't wait to hear what's next.
Thanks so much. I'm really excited that this project has continued. We're really excited to see it last year, and it's just great to see that you've got more volumes. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Next up, we have Drifterzine. Drifterzine is an independent publication based in the San Fernando Valley, dedicated to showcasing up-and-coming artists, writers, and journalists. Drifterzine started in April 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic in hopes to create a community space for artists that was vastly needed during this solitary time and has continued to grow since then. The publication is a 2-person operation run from home by editor-in-chief Maddie Parsley and assistant editor Yvonne Salinas. Welcome.
Hi. Hi. Thank you for having us, San Francisco Zine Fest. We're really excited to be here. This is the first Zine Fest that we've taken part in. So thank you again. My name is Maddie Parsley. I am the editor-in-chief of Drifter.
My name is Ivan Salinas. I'm assistant editor in Drifterzine. And of course, thank you, San Francisco Zine Fest, for having us.
So we're a independent publication out of the San Fernando Valley. If you don't know where that is, we are the northern part of Los Angeles and one of the largest parts of Los Angeles, located in the suburbs. And we actually started the zine in kind of a time where, you know, everyone was at home, but it was thought of before the pandemic because we saw so many artists that were stuck in the suburbs that were unable to, you know, find spaces here and to create and to be published. Everyone was kind of being forced to, you know, go to the city, and that's where your artwork was being validated. And we didn't believe that, that, you know, we knew so many artists and writers and musicians that were so rad out here, but they just didn't have anywhere to go. And now we see the zine scene and like the art scene in the San Fernando Valley, it's starting to grow, and there's a community out here, which we love. So we are a quarterly zine. So we've actually put out 4 issues so far, and we've only been out for a year, which is really exciting. And we are a theme-based zine. So most of our issues deal with a social justice theme or community, which anyone can submit to, whether that be visual art, poetry, essays, interviews, or even music. We actually got to publish a music review recently. And I can actually show you some of our zines. So this is our first issue that we released back in August of 2020. Our cover showcases protesters with signs that say things like Black Lives Matter. And they're actually, you know, overthrowing the state capitol. And this issue was under the theme Wait, which was very important now, and it was very reflective of the time that we were in last summer. And we actually got to publish 8 artists, and we were so excited. This is like trying to find people and get people to submit and find us. We only, I think, had like 25 followers at that point. And I was just so excited that we got 8 beautiful artists to submit, and it's 26 pages, very beautiful. And then we have our second zine, which is under the theme Labor. You'll see a skeleton hand chained to a factory. This is a reflection of the working class people here in the States and everywhere. A lot of the artwork and writing and essays have to do with, you know, the working class issues of young people right now. A lot of students actually submitted to this, and it was a fantastic piece. We have 13 artists in this one. Back in May, we got to do one of my favorite issues, which was celebrating women and femme identifying artists in the femme issue. And this is the first zine where we actually got people outside of the country to submit. So this was like everyone from, like, you know, around the world, from the San Fernando Valley, across the states, outside of, you know, like the UK. We got someone from Brazil. It was insanely beautiful. We actually got to publish 26 women and femme identifying artists who all, you know, took the theme in their own way, and we got to celebrate, you know, femininity in any sense of the way that you can look at it. And then most recently, we just published 2 weeks ago our newest zine called Suburban Wasteland, which we got to do 2 covers for. And we got to feature a San Fernando Valley photographer named Dominic Ortiz, who's a fantastic photographer. This is all San Fernando Valley artists and all suburban artists who, you know, took a critical lens of where we call home and what that means for art. Yeah, you can get these all on our website, and we publish them online on Issue for free.
Definitely. And is it possible that I can share my screen? Yeah. I would just like to show a little bit what our website looks like. Um, sorry.
Unfortunately, that's actually your time.
Oh, no, sorry about that.
No worries. Do you want me to, I don't know, were you having some technical difficulty pulling up your website?
Kind of, but you said that we're out of time.
If you can pull it up quickly,
Sure.
or if it's easier for me to pull it up, just to show folks.
I have it here.
Let's see.
Right there. Can you see that?
Unfortunately, I'm not seeing anything. I'm just seeing. Oh, now I see it. Yay. Okay.
Sorry about that. But yeah,
No worries.
Our website right now is currently just featuring in our homepage. There are 4 issues that we have. Most recently, the Suburban Wasteland, the Femme issue, as well as some of the features in each of the issues that we've put out. Most recently, you can see an essay by writer from the San Fernando Valley, Rebecca Gross. And she wrote a piece called A Place Between Mountains and Eras Holding Basins of Dreams, as well as some music interviews featuring musicians from the LA area. So you can check that out. And on the tabs or the main navigation menu, you can see our e-zines, and it will have a link to all of our issues that are available for free digitally. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's nice that you make things accessible for people to read, even if they can't afford the zines. And amazing that you produce so much work during the pandemic. I'm a little jealous. Well, thank you so much. And next up, we have Heyt Bay. In 2010, Heyt Bay Fanzin was founded as a zine and artist collective by Deniz Bezer, Sedef Karakas, and Beres Sinsi in Istanbul, Turkey. Heyt Bay, which approaches its entire layout with collage logic and without the use of computers, is an independent and timeless art publication defending analog against digital in this context. The zine presents such contents as contemporary art, comics, illustration, interviews, literature, music, and politics. In this context, Heyt Bay's primary goal is to create an alternative exhibition in a fanzine form. All right, thank you so much for joining us. If you are here, turn on your camera. Let's see. Are folks from Heyt Bay here? All right, I'm not hearing anybody. So if they pop in later, they can present later. Oh, wait. We have someone here. Okay. Oh, okay. I see what's going on here. I think I need to deal with this. This is, there we go. Okay. Are you able to start your video? And please unmute yourself. Oh, you're still muted. There you go.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So this is Deniz Beşer. So I'm an independent artist, creator, and co-founder, and one of the members of Heyt Bay Fanzin. So as you heard, in 2010, we were working on this project, and in the beginning, it was like a artist and zine collective, and then it was gonna be a bit personal project of mine. Of course, still there is some of my friends like Sedef, Karakash, and Barış Sinsi. They are always giving some collaboration to this fanzine project. And also in each issues, we make some open call. We invite artists from some different countries. In our last issue, in number 12, there was artists who are from Japan, Germany, Austria, and United States, and it was obscene issue. So let me show you some pages. Also, there was an artist from China, so Tony Cheung. And also in the beginning, we were just publishing this zine as a photocopy magazine, but nowadays we just started to print as offset print. So nowadays there is we make more than 1,000 copies for each issue. So I try to make that distribution to 8 different countries like Brazil, Italy, Austria, Germany, and Turkey, of course. So recently also I was publishing a limited edition book, Heyt the Fanzin collection book. So you can find all of issues till we published and we made till this time in last 10 years. So it's totally limited edition. So I was making binding by myself. It's totally handmade book. Let me show you some pages. So and also as Heyt the Fanzin, we really like to meet with our readers with different kind of events like some parties, concerts, and exhibitions. Also, in 2016, we started to organize a Fanzin festival in Istanbul called Fanzinist Zine Fest of Istanbul. And in 2019, as Heyt the Fanzin, we were carrying same festival and art book fair to Vienna. So right now, Fanzinist Vienna Art Book and Zine Fair is keep going on to make its operation in Vienna since 2019. And we also publish different kind of zines. We print some zine demo albums for independent punk bands and some experimental bands. Till this time, we were publishing 5 different music albums as a fanzine demo album. Also, recently I was making this kind of zine under Heyt the Fanzin label. So it's a Corona zine, stayed at home. So I was just making some sketch and some works during that Corona times, and I made a limited edition Corona zine. So this is one of the project of Heyt. And also we really like making some documentation about our Fanzin festival organization. So this is the one of the zine that we made in 2019. It was about Fanzinist Vienna Art Book and Zine Fair. So you can find our participants and see our program in this zine. And if you want to check out more about Heyt the Fanzin, you can just find us on Instagram. So Heyt the Fanzin, you can just type Heyt the Fanzin on Instagram, and you can easily find our Instagram page. Also, we have a web shop. We sell our own zines on that web shop. Also, you can check out that one. So Heyt the Fanzin limitedrun.com. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm so happy to be part of this Zine Fest organization. I really thank you to all organizers, and I'm looking forward to see our other friends, Zinster friends. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see their works. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. One of the things that we love most about Cyberfest is that we get to talk to zinesters that we normally wouldn't get a chance to interact with. So thank you so much for coming and presenting. All right. Next up, we've got Little Study Zine. All right. Welcome to Little Study. We are a publication of writings and close encounters. This is a space to think without the pressure of completion, to retrain our attention to meander and linger, to practice naming things that strike us as they strike, to write without having to yield to a middleman, to be less precious with our words and our names, to support each other in putting work into the world, to spout, shout, sing, grounded in a community of voices, All right. Folks of Little Study Zine, there are a few of you I know. All right, welcome.
Hi, everyone. My internet is a little unstable, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to keep my camera off, but I am a Korean American woman wearing a button-up today, and my name's Madeline, pronouns are she, her, and I'm calling in from Quinnipiac, Wappinger, and Pawcasset land, also known as New Connecticut. But I grew up in the Bay Area, so we're so excited to be at SF Zine Fest today. I'll start by talking a little bit about how our collective little study came to be. So a lot of our contributors were already working or writing in environments, I think, where their writing felt very constrained by genre or by having to work within certain publication structures. Many of our contributors were trying to freelance either full-time or on the side and found that really challenging. So we were seeking a platform for ourselves where we had more agency over how we were writing and where we weren't just publishing work, but where the writing and editing processes themselves could serve as ways of forming and strengthening community in writing, but also in conversation. So I think all of our members see engaging in writing as one small way among many of holding ourselves accountable to our shared values and to the world around us, especially as the pandemic was amplifying the ongoing overlapping crises around us. I will throw it to Irene, another one of our members.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Irene, one of the members of Little Study. I use they, them pronouns. I'm calling in from Lenape King. And yeah, as Madeline mentioned, a lot of us were working with grad school publishing, academic publishing, and freelancing in media. And so it was really important for us to question the idea of these tasks with writing, editing, and reading, which are often conceived of as these separate solitary activities across an opaque editorial hierarchy. And we really wanted to think about them and allow for space to brainstorm, free write, and workshop. And what this means in practice is also just going by everybody's capacity. Right now we have two issues. The first issue, we were talking about the popular and the Asian diasporic imaginary. So we had cultural criticism of Bong Joon-ho's Parasite, the second of Netflix's To All the Boys I've Ever Loved, and Marie Kondo's show about hiding. And we treated these through the lenses of race, gender, and post-colonialisms, and really oriented these pieces in relation to the question of what does the popular have to do with navigating the crisis of intimacies within the worlds we inhabit in our current moment. Yeah, and now I will turn it over to Joel to talk a little bit more about the second issue that we have.
Thanks so much, Irene. My name's Anshul, and I use she and they pronouns. I'm a South Asian person with short black hair and a yellow blazer in front of a background of floating ginger root, which was the theme of the short piece that I wrote for our second zine issue, which was Imaginary Dinner Party. And the way that this issue came into be was we actually held a Zoom launch for our first issue about the popular, and decided to create a menu of dishes that we wanted to share with one another, but couldn't because of COVID socializing restrictions. And what we ended up doing was having the person the next person on the menu draw the item of the person before them. And so then we shared all of these illustrations of one another's dishes. And it was this really amazing gathering that led us to think more about how this was also sort of happening at the same time as the Bon Appetit crisis, and a lot of interrogations about how colonialism and white supremacy are really cut through food writing and the food industry more broadly, even as so many of our zine contributors have such political relationships to food that are really defined by both the ways that we've existed in this world as well as moved through it and learned how to move through it in solidarity with others. So all of that culminated in us deciding to write a zine that was a second instantiation of this imaginary dinner party, so to speak. And that zine we were actually able to do a formal performance of for the Singapore Writers Festival, where we had ambient music that was mimicking us being in shared gathering space. And there's a lot of intimacy and a lot of friendship that is really woven into these pages amidst our own sort of meditations on food and these particular ingredients or dishes that mean something to us both personally and collectively. And so to share a little bit about our writing.
That's actually past your time.
Okay,
Do you have any, it's okay. Any just final things that you want to say about your project?
I don't know if Darren or Damanpreet, if either of you have closing thoughts.
Since we're out of time, I can just drop the link to purchase the zine in the chat. Thanks so much for listening, everyone.
Thank you so much. It's always wonderful to see sort of how people are using zines and the immediacy of zines to talk about their work in various areas. So thank you so much. Next up, we have Okay Not to Be. Emma Webster is a writer living in Alameda, California. She recently graduated from CIIS in San Francisco with a master's degree in fine arts. She works in marketing during the day and is putting the finishing touches on her novel by night. When not writing, she can be found posting her adventures on her travel Instagram at Sexy Airbnbs, that's Airbnbs with a Z, hiking through Northern California and searching for East Coast quality pizza out west. All right, Emma Webster, if you are here, let's see, Emma? Let's see, I am not seeing Emma. All right, so we will move on to our next presenter, which is Watt and Zav. Watt and Zav makes stationery and multiples exploring personal and societal conflicts, nature, and folklore. Through self-publishing, we aspire to relate to others through observational commentary, storytelling, and drawing. All right. So we have Watt and Zav here. Okay, let's see. All right. So we are going to move forward to Mondo Fetiche. Mondo Fetiche celebrates the beautiful, strange, and bizarre world of fetish. Inspired by art house and grindhouse cinema, our X-rated films and zines explore identity, gender, and sexuality in the most colorful way. All right, Carlos, I know that you're here. If you could turn your camera on.
I am Satan, buy my zine. Hi, I'm Carlos Death, I'm not Satan. My zine is called Wear Leather, Worship Satan, and that's why I had the mask. So my site is called Mondo Fetiche. It's actually a queer porn site, so I want to give people a content warning because this is kinky content. So we're primarily, Lauren, will you give me like a 1 minute warning?
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you. We're primarily a queer porn site, but this And if you could put the site up now, would be good.
Okay.
Thank you. So we do different, as you can see there, it's kind of like colorful and a little bit campy. I don't know if you, there's like a menu at the top where it says videos. You can see some of the, yeah, exactly. You know, and so the idea was to try and make different porn. We've been up for like a couple of years and make porn that's a bit more fun, a little more what's the word? Heartfelt, lighthearted, and colorful and funny. And so we have sort of like a small cult-like following, but people seem to have responded really well to it. And so this year we decided to venture out into zines, and so we made this one with Ruth Mora, who made the illustrations, and I wrote the story. It's really, I don't know, I can't really see myself, so it's really sort of like a campy take on sleazy zines, sorry, sleazy pulp books from the 60s. And it's the story of a satanic leather dyke that recruits these kids to worship Satan. And but it's all in a good, healthy fun. And this is our, as you can see, like this is kind of like the back of the zine. I don't know. And it's even made a little bit like an ad for like an old, I don't know, porn magazine from the 80s or something. We made this zine, and then we have another zine that I don't have here that we collaborated with Amalia Rusielo, who's an artist from Naples. Her Instagram is Madame Dabby. That one's called Nectar Party, and it's also available. All our zines are available on our site. And if you like our zines, and if you take a look at our trailers and stuff, please consider joining. It's only $15 a month, or the zines are also available. We don't really, we do sort of like artisanal porn, so we're not one of those sites that's uploading new content, you know, every Friday, kind of like a industrial machinery. We focus more on quality, but I think that we do stuff, at least that's what people tell me, that's not very common. So you'll see different kinds of people represented in the content, and you'll see a sort of like more humorous take. And another way to check out our work is Mondo Fetiche on Instagram and Twitter. You'll see trailers and stuff like that. And I think that's really all I have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, the zine looked very fun. It arrived at my house, and it was very tempting to poach it before it went off to the bookstores.
Good. Don't read it to your kids.
Yes. Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. All right.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carlos. All right. So next up, we've got AIWS. AIWS is an alias used by Lithuanian zine maker Lex. Through their work, they explore what it means to live in the world that does not accommodate your needs. Lex is white, trans, disabled, and autistic. Welcome, Lex.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for such nice introduction. My name is Lex, and my pronouns are they, them. I am a white person wearing black t-shirt and light blue jacket. Next to me is Regis. He is a rescue beagle. His collar is light brown and white, and he is here also supporting me. I'm originally from Lithuania. There I spent most of my life. I lived about 2 years in Bay Area. That I absolutely left. Unfortunately, due to visa issues, I had to leave the States. Now I live in Berlin, Germany, where I create art, make zines, and work at international school where I support other neurodivergent students. Most of my work talks about mental health, disability, autism, and neurodiversity. And I would like to read a little bit from 2 of my zines. One zine that I thought of reading is called Disability is Not a Burden, Ableism Is. And another one, it's about my dog, and it's called Raggy's 3 Years, because he has a very special story that I also would like to share. And I'm just gonna read a little bit from each of them. So there's disability is not a burden, ableism is. In psychology, there is no way to access, diagnose, or treat trauma caused by ableism. This is because definition of trauma is based on neurotypical experiences. So naturally, experiences that only impact disabled are rarely viewed as traumatic. Autistic people are often targets of gaslighting. Gaslighting is when someone manipulates information to make the victim question their own experience, memory, or reality. People are able to recognize gaslighting when it comes to relationships, friendships, work settings, and issues like sexism. But when it comes to disability gaslighting, there is an immense disconnect. I have noticed that in general, people are able to acknowledge abusive behaviors such as narcissism, manipulation, and gaslighting. However, it is difficult for people to see how these forms of abuse are ever presented in conversations about disability. There is this desensitization to our pain as a society. We need to do better. When we share our experience about ableism or confront someone about the ableist behavior, the immediate reaction is to question the victim's experience, memory, or reality. Instead of building understanding and allyship, gaslighting deflects important conversations about disability and silences disabled voices that need to be heard. For many disabled people, gaslighting is everyday reality. So that's just a little bit because it's a zine that has 30 pages. And now I want to read a little bit about my other zine, Raggy's 3 Years. And on the cover, it has a photo of the rescue beagle Raggy's in a field holding a small orange ball in his mouth. This zine was written to celebrate Raggy's 3rd birthday. More time spent in freedom than subjected to cruel animal experiments. Happy birthday, brave boy. Probably most of you have noticed not tested on animals sign on cosmetic or cleaning products. But how many of you are thinking of a real meaning behind it? Raggy's little beagle, who came to Europe from sunny California, is one of the animals who was used for experiments. Now, no one will be able to tell what kind of experiments he was subjected to. He might have experienced chemicals being poured into his throat or medicine being constantly ejected under his skin. What is really clear, but coming to me, Raggy's didn't experience neither love, neither warm touch. He was taken out of his cage only for experiments. And then in the zine, there is another photo of Raggy's with a yellow flower crown on his head, and he's looks like he's smiling and winking his eye. I always say that I didn't choose Raggy's, he chose me. During one of the rescues, I was carrying a doggy from the crate to the grass for his first steps in the freedom. While I was carrying, he started to lick my face. That was the moment they understood that I can give him to anyone else and he will come with me. His name Raggy's got out in memory of my dear grandmother. She was born in the village of Rugua, and I shortened it to Raggy's. And I think I'm probably running out of time, so I'll stop here. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. And I appreciate the guest appearance by the subject of your zine.
Thank you.
Okay. And next up, we have Yoko Please. Yoko Please is an experimental artist that dabbles with digital storytelling and currently print media. She incorporates textile work, focusing on sensory experience, self-intimacy, vulnerability, and personal interactions. All of her works bleed into each other, creating a mosaic of her. All right, welcome.
Hello. There you go. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Yoko. Yoko, please. I go by she, her. So these are the zines I made. They're called Pocket Change. Everything is printed and binded by me. I do stop binding techniques. So this zine, I guess I'm a bit of a hoarder, and I just have a bunch of things that I collect over the years. And these are things I've collected for, I think, like 2 years now. Just, like, these are some things. This is from a porn magazine that I ripped out of at a strip club in Brooklyn. Lottery ticket, postcard I found at a junkyard. And I just accumulated all of these and decided to put them all in one zine. I have little receipts that I went to a museum with a friend, and everything in my zine. They're all like a little shout out / homage to all my friends and the people that's been in my life. So this is how it looks like. And that's my ID from when I was 18. I'm 25 now. I'm gonna read an excerpt from my zine. So, pocket change. My 20s feel like pocket change. Sometime when you reach into your pockets and you find cold hard cash. Sometime it's memorabilia, crumbs, forgotten things, or a train ticket to take you home. So these are some of the things. This is Chopstick Sleeve from this really kooky restaurant in New York City, MetroCard. So I am actually based in San Francisco now, but I was in New York for 7 years, and I just moved back last year. And you can, so this is actually like the prototype. This is the first pocket change I made. And these were all printed at my my job when I was 22 at an ice cream shop, and I just used the shit out of their printer. And I also was experimenting with stop binding there. But this is the finished product, and there's little parts of me and of my friends and just people that's just been in my life. You can purchase my zine. You can DM me on my Instagram at Yoko Please, and you get to choose the colors if you'd like. Everything in there, every object in the zines, they all have a meaning and story. It's my phone. This is a stick and poke tattoo that my friend did, but we never finished. It's on my thigh. And little baby dolls I have in my room. I think that is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love just the intimacy of the individual objects, and the binding on those are so cool. Is it yarn?
It is. It's all yarn. I do like the Japanese stop binding technique, and they take forever, but I think that's like the joy of it, I'm really putting in so much time, and everyone, that purchases it or I give it to them, they're like, wow, it's all about the touch. And sometimes I'll spray a little bit of my perfume on there, even for people that don't know me, so they can just, have a of me. It's just so we're all one.
Very cool. You just bringing in all of the senses.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciated seeing your work. Okay, and next up we've got the Mushroom Queendom. The Mushroom Queendom, one of the first Wakandan outposts established in who knows. The Queendom is ruled by Shanae Bryant, aka MQ, artist, author, and inclusive design geek. She draws inspiration from way too many years of being Black in America. MQ is also the creator of Terrible Allies, a comic about allies and, quote, allies. Check her random political musings on Twitter at Mushroom Queendom. I assume that's a typo. Apologize about that. Follow her art and more on Instagram at Terrible Allies and at Mushroom Queendom Art. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, folks. Actually, that's not a typo. It's a Twitter, it's a character limitation on Twitter.
Oh no. Okay.
So
I'm glad it wasn't a typo.
Mushroom Queendom on Twitter, but Mushroom Queendom in general. So hello, folks. My name is Shanae Bryant. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm located in the Bay Area. As you can see behind me, I'm a video game developer by day, hence the name Mushroom Queendom. But I also make a lot of zines and stuff about identity, about race, about my experiences living and working in predominantly white spaces. Thank you, by the way, to SS Zine Fest for having me today. I really am excited about this event and stuff as well. As far as me, I'm a Black woman with fancy kinky twist hair, like they're partly Black, they're partly auburn. They're really trying to make it a little fancy today. I'm wearing a heather grayish shirt that has my logo, the Mushroom Queendom, on it. And there's lots of video game paraphernalia and toys and stuff in my background. So let me talk a little bit about some of the work that I do. So I have I do lots of like little individual things and contributions to zines, oftentimes about identity and Blackness. But my two main pieces of work are what I call the Mushroom Queendom Zinedom, which are these small zine packs. There's 3 of them. I'll show a little bit more in a second. And Terrible Allies. I'm the writer and creator and author of Terrible Allies book, which are books about allies and allies, and how can they can be terrible as well. So let me switch my camera over and we're going to take a look at some of these a little bit more in depth. All right, if everyone can see my camera right here. So as I mentioned, we've got 3 different volumes of Mushroom Queendom Zinedom. We've got 3 different volumes of Terrible Allies. I'm actually working on volume 4 right now, but the pandemic has, slowed things down here and there, moving and changing jobs, that sort of thing. So let's take a look at a few of the Mushroom Queendom Zinedom books right here. Like I mentioned, that there's a few different couple of mini comics, and you always get a set of microaggression cards. These are sort of my more experimental ones. I try and do a little bit of stuff that's just different for me. So for example, in volume 3, you actually, let me put this off to the side. In volume 3, you actually get a couple of mini comics. You get a tiny flip book right here as well. I'd never done a flip book before. And this was about the 1968 Olympics. Let's see if we can make this work here. You get to see the 1968 Olympics and just the salute that takes place on the stage. So like I mentioned, all of these comics tend to have something to do with race. So I do want to make sure that people understand that that's what I'm talking about here, is talking about my identity, and talking about my identity specifically in the realms of like a Black woman who's grown up in the South. So for example, this book right here is a biographical comic that's about my mom, who grew up in the Jim Crow South in Mississippi. She was one of 17 children. And this comic that's very small, it talks about how she didn't even sit in a classroom with a white person until she was in college, because schools were actually much more segregated than they even are right now. And then the last comic I'm going to show from Mushroom Queendom, the Zinedom here, is this tiny little, called the Shitty Bosses comic right here. It's a tiny little mini zine here that's talking about, it's a Seattle edition. I mentioned I lived in Seattle for 4 years. And it's just talking about the types of abuse and things that I experienced with various bosses in the Seattle area in the game industry. For those of you who are following what's going on in the game industry right now, there's a lot of stuff that's in the news right now, even now. And what this can tell you is that, unfortunately, we've got some really in-depth problems to solve. I'm going to set these to the side here. Now let's talk about Terrible Allies. So there's 3 volumes that are available. I mentioned if you buy it off my Etsy, you can it's actually nicely wrapped and pretty little stuff right here. And this is the presentation that you'll get. But each of the Terrible Allies books have sort of different themes for them. Like Terrible Allies 1 took place, I think I tell people that the idea came to me on November 9th, 2016, which, it's not a date that has any particular significance, but has all the significance in the world. And in my day job, I talk a lot about diversity, equity, inclusion, and allyship, and the needs for allyship and diversity, equity, inclusion in more serious ways. But Terrible Allies allows me to do that with a little bit of humor. So, for example, and like I mentioned, Terrible Allies is sort of autobiographical as well. So all of these conversations that take place are sort of based on real conversations that I've had with folks. Like, we spend too much time talking about race. Maybe that's what's really dividing us. And it's like, oh, maybe we talk about it less, then race will just like, no. And the point of this really is, like I said, allies, we can't reach the mountaintop without having allies. But if we don't talk about the ways in which allyship fails us, then allyship will not get better. And like I said, these books are specifically talking about it in the concept of race. But the allyship goes for everything. For LGBTQIA, it talks about for disability. We can all become better allies but we have to be able to listen to folks who are from those communities and understand that like listening is more important than speaking. This is another comic that I thought was pretty popular here. It's like, oh, so I think I can't be racist because I'm colorblind. I don't see race. And her response is, if you don't see race, how do you see racism? So you can't become a non-terrible ally. We're all terrible allies. But the whole idea behind this is to talk about the ways in which allyship is terrible so we can be better. All 3 volumes are available right now. I'm working on volume 4, and those are my works. Let me switch back my camera. I don't know if I'm at time, but thank you so much everyone for this. Last little thing I'll give you is a little bit of a sneak peek at my black hair zine submission here, which is talking about black hair. And a lot of these, incidentally, they're drawn on Post-it notes because that's what I was drawing while I was doing work.
Thank you so much. So glad to have you back this year. And yeah, it's so great because we read a lot about what's happening in the game industry, but it's wonderful to just have people talk about their personal experiences in such a direct way.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess there's lots of different ways you talk about it. I talk about it in really serious ways and just, because I look at it and say, you have to find different ways in which to reach people about this stuff. And so I can be humorous about it. I can be serious about it. But the most important thing is we need to be talking about it because ignoring it is not making it go away.
Definitely. Thank you so much. All right. And next up, we have Manuel Rodriguez, born in 1973 in Santiago de Chile, studied art at the University Finisterrae in Santiago de Chile, graduating with a Master of Visual Arts, major in printmaking, European Animation Masterclass at the TV Academy Central Germany in Halle, Saale. After working in Valencia, Barcelona, and Buenos Aires, Manuel Rodriguez currently lives and works in Munster. Welcome, Manuel.
Hello, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for this introduction too. I will show you some image from my comics and painting projects. Yes, I have here. Wait a minute, please. Okay, yes, now this, yes, here. Okay, now, okay. Can you see my work?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, this is the travel. This is an experimental edition of offset printing. This is an imaginary travel for an immigrant, maybe to Europe or USA. This is the next page. And now, okay, this is domestication or domesticationen. This is a scene about work. And now is, and this is a history about a child in Chile during the dictatorship. His name is Rebeldia Garden, or the Garden of Rebellion. Some work. This is in Spanish. Another page. This is a comic, The Work Robot. This is a story about a boy who wants to be a robot. Some pages. This is the English edition. And then this is the second part, the Garbage Prophet. Is now the young is like a prophet in a new revolutions. This is very inspired for the revolution in Chile 2 years ago. Okay, this is all.
Thank you so much. Your work is so striking. I'm so curious about how like your printmaking background and your fine arts background like interacts with your comics.
And I have some editions here. This is the, maybe I can show you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first one. It's possible to open, and finally you have something like a poster, something like this.
Oh wow!
Yeah, this is a way to make my work. I have some other editions, but I make some contributions to with other collectives or other magazines too.
What collectives and what magazines can we find your work in?
I have there's a communication with people in Sweden. This is nice people.
Do you remember the?
I mean, in Germany, I live in Germany, and then I know some people in Berlin too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your work. It's just very different from so much of the other stuff that we see. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for this invitation.
And where can people find your work?
Sorry,
where can people find your work?
My work, yes, of course. I have my webpage. Okay, wait a minute. This is my webpage.
You're not sharing your screen. Here, maybe it would be easier if I pulled it up. Okay. This is the website, rodriguez-navarro.com.
Is in this way.
Very lovely.
Thank you. This is maybe a way to make a better way for present my work.
All right. Well, thank you to all of our presenters this morning. It was just so wonderful to see all of your work. I want to tell you a little bit more about what is happening with Zine Fest this weekend. This is the final weekend of the 2021 San Francisco Zine Fest. We have a couple more events today. There is a bookbinding workshop that's going to be at the Rock, Paper, Scissor Collective at 1. So that is actually going to be an in-person event, and all of the slots have been filled, but we're going to be recording it, and hopefully we will be able to upload that later on. At 4 p.m. today, we are going to have a Q&A with this year's guest of honor, Tiny Splendor. So be sure to check that out. Tomorrow, we have our final show and tell group. That will be Group H at 11 a.m. There will be another bookbinding workshop at Rock, Paper, Scissors Collective at 1 tomorrow. And then at 4 p.m. tomorrow, we will have our closing party hangout. And if you have any questions about the schedule, you can always check sfzinefest.org for details. And here are the flyers for the events for our guest of honor panel with Tiny Splendor and our closing party. Thank you to everybody who's been working so hard on the flyers that you've been seeing on social media. It just makes everything so much easier to understand and to see. And this year we are collaborating with Bay Area bookstores. If you would like to buy zines in person from a physical shop and get them in your hands, you can go to Silver Sprocket, Mission Comics and Art, and Dog Eared Books in the Castro. That is soon to be Fabulosa. So if you go mid-month, you may see it as Fabulosa instead of Dog Eared Books. And here are some of the shots of the zines. They're really there. They're in stores. And I know that Anin dropped off more stuff last night at the shops. So even if your zines came in a little bit late, they are still getting into the bookstores. Support San Francisco Zine Fest. You can donate money to us, and you can find details about that on sfzinefest.org. Also, we have a bonfire store where you can buy 20th anniversary shirts and sweatshirts with the design by Sana Khan of Tiny Splendor. I love this design so much. The shirts and the sweatshirts, they each come in 5 different colors. So check it out and see if there is a color that you like. And thank you to our interpreters, Nicole Watson and Kevin Abrams, who have been working so hard to make all of our events more accessible. And San Francisco Zine Fest is a member of Intersection for the Arts. Intersection for the Arts is a bedrock Bay Area arts nonprofit that provides people working in arts and culture with fiscal sponsorship and resources to grow. If you think that fiscal sponsorship is something that you are interested in for your own arts nonprofit, check out theintersection.org. All right, thank you again, everybody. Thank you to all of our exhibitors. Thank you to everybody who's been watching. Thank you to our volunteers. And this is the end of this morning's show and tell, and we hope to see you at more San Francisco Zine Fest events.